To the Nerds on Cinema Halloween Horror Fest. 31 days, 31 podcasts. Go ahead and take a seat. You'll be here a while.
Not so fast. This is Nuke Jess. And I'm here to let you know this is not a regular Nutty Bites episode. This is one of Jason's Halloween Horror Fest episodes. And we want to thank Jason for bringing that to us. But we also want to make sure that everyone is aware, anytime you listen to one of these, this is not a regular Nutty Bites episode. So there may be swearing, there may be spoilers, and there may be things that are just not what you're used to. Please enjoy, or if you want to stay away from swears and spoilers, you can go to skip and listen to the next episode. Thanks.
And here we go again. This is episode 2 of the 2025 Talk Nerdy Movie Podcast Halloween Horror Fest. 31 days, 31 podcasts. And I'm your host, Jason. Jen is obviously doing her thing, but today, I know it's episode 2, but we covered 2 movies in episode 1 to basically make up for days 1 and 2, sort of. And so this time I'm going to just go ahead and fucking cover 3 movies. But that's because I'm going to be talking about 28 years later. And so I had to go back and do a rewatch of 28 days, 28 weeks, and now we're here, right? So let me just get this right out the way. Holy fuck was I excited for this movie to come out. I love the 28 days, 28 weeks later, 28 years now later franchise. I saw 28 days later in the theaters multiple times. That movie's fucking baller. It is still great. I would put that movie up there in its iconicness as with Dog Soldiers. Like Dog Soldiers and fucking 28 days later are some of the best you're gonna get out of the European continent when it comes to horror. Just done. Period. You can't get better, really. That being said, 28 weeks later, it struck and it hit a hot iron, but a lot of people didn't necessarily like it. And I'm gonna just say this. I think y'all are underrating that movie a little bit. I'm saying Hawkeye's in that movie. It's not bad. But the reason I bring that movie up specifically is because I think Danny Boyle, in 28 years later, tried to retcon and redo that movie kind of in the way he wanted. And he also is doing so by paying homage to some other horror films, right? So I'm not going to get into the plot of this movie because it is just now hitting Netflix, by the way. So go ahead, motherfucking go back, watch 28 days later, 28 weeks later, then hit up this 28 years later, and we'll talk about it. Because I am definitely full of chicken and spoilers today, so we're going to get in there talking about it. So right off the bat, I think this was a delight to see from the standpoint of how they depicted the father and son and the family relationship. Like, the complexity and the nuance to the relationships between him and his wife, him and the son, where's the son and the mom, and that the whole family unit is utterly some of the best I've seen in quite a long time in a movie. He makes mistakes. He's kind of not good at it, but this is a different world. So how do our standards of parenting hold up in this post-apocalyptic zombie place, right? But there's also homages to some traditions and heritage, right? Like rural communities start their kids out kind of like this a little bit, the old school, you know what I'm saying? Teaching them how to hunt and do these type of things, right? Like, and that's kind of how they raise little boys to grow up and be men. And I think that was awesome to see on screen. I understand the lengths and the depths of masculinity and the things that it can do for people, but also what it can do to people in a negative sense. But to see it depicted in a very much real and raw and just kind of natural way, even if it isn't a zombie apocalypse, is fantastic. And also, there's tension of a kid growing up and wanting something versus the father who wants him to hold to a tradition. Like, there's a lot going on in that relationship, and I fucking love it. It's one of the reasons why I like this movie. However, I think that, again, in horror movies, when people do things that are not right, meaning they do something, you're like, why the fuck would you do that? You need a good reason for it. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't like Weapons is because a lot of the fucking behaviors those people exhibited in those movies didn't make sense, and there was no real reason for it not to make sense. But the reason for this kid taking his mom out and doing this outlandish fucking thing is exactly the same reason why he and the father's relationship is so great, is because the father wants to adhere to this tradition and this sort of thing, and the son also doesn't want something, he doesn't want to let go of something. He doesn't want to forget something. He doesn't want something to be to allow to slip away, and that's his mother. So combining with the things that he witnessed with the dad having the affair or the outer marital relationship with the other lady versus the son having a desire to save his mom and wanting to find a doctor to help her, obviously is the reason why he's taking this huge risk. And honestly, given the world that they're in and given the situation they're in, I can understand why he would do it. It's still fucking stupid. It's still dangerous as shit. And it's still gonna fuck up whatever equals, homeostasis y'all got out here protected from the infected. But I get it. Also, let's be real. We've seen far worse and shittier reasons for characters in a horror movie to get the plot started. This, however, an endearing and empathetic one for a child wanting to grow up and become a man and wanting to preserve the family and the life that he has, even if he is a bit too young, is reflected in what the father's trying to teach him. It is a wonderful lesson they have going here. Now, where I start to recognize and realize what is happening in this movie is that they are trying to basically take the Jeremy Renner character from 28 Weeks Later and the relationship he ends up getting with the kids in that movie and putting it into the father and son here. Also, taking the main character in the relationship from 28 Weeks Later, where the woman was asymptomatic and was left by her husband, they basically removed that husband and taken the wife and basically make it dementia of sorts, right? Maybe trauma created dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever. She's got a mental disability and has a lot of, memories and disillusions and that sort of thing. It's a combination of all that story put together and done better than it was in that movie because there were so many moving parts to get to that part. It just didn't feel right? Like you had to not only get through the relationship with the mom and the dad and like him leaving her and her surviving. And then finally, the mom he kisses the mom in some weird grief-stricken thing. And then she infects him because she's still infected and asymptomatic, even though in reality, finding a woman who was asymptomatic, like honestly and truly, like if they didn't put a bullet in that lady immediately, I don't know why. It's one of my biggest issues in that movie. But yeah, they take that sort of dynamic and complexity and try to combine it here in 28 years later. And I think it does a much better job. That being said, also, this is another critique I have of this film is that it's basically a sequel to 28 Days Later, not 28 Weeks. There are references to stuff that happened in 28 Weeks Later, but they definitely kind of want to shoo past that and get to this and just kind of be like, remember that first movie? Wasn't that shit great? All right, guys, we're going on. Like, that's kind of how it feels here with 28 Years Later. And then I'm gonna just go ahead and pull the fucking Band-Aid off. What the fuck is this about zombies being born in fucking... Let me bring it back. What the fuck is up with babies being born in zombie movies? The Walking Dead had one. Fucking Night of the Living, or Night of the Living Dead, or whatever the fuck it was, where they were in the fucking mall. They had one. And then now this one has one, and it's gotten worse each time. In The Walking Dead, it was fucking Coral's little brother, or whatever the fuck. I don't care. In the, Return of the Living Dead, like Night of the Living Dead, whatever the one of them in the mall, fucking old girl is infected and turns to a zombie, and then it gives birth and it's a zombie fucking baby. And I'm like, why? Like, I understand the point and the themes that you're trying to go at, but you need to execute it better. And I'm gonna be real with you. In 28 years later, it doesn't fall better for me. It doesn't land better for me either. Like, this fucking stupid. The soldier that was in this scene was 100% right. You put a bullet in that baby, you put a bullet in that zombie, and you put a bullet in them too if they try to stop you. Because that's just nuts. I'm sorry. Like, the biggest issue I have in horror movies when people do things that don't make fucking sense is that they can't, these are behaviors that people who have not existed in these worlds would do. Not people who have lived in these worlds, raised in these worlds, and know how this fucking shit works. 28 years of zombie infections, and you really gonna let a fucking pregnant zombie, non-zombie baby thing live? I'm sorry, bro. You're not a scientist. This isn't somewhere out in the mainland where they've actually quarantined and got this shit all taken care of. They're not researching it out here. It's still survival for them. You put a bullet in it. Like, it is wild to me that these type of actions still happen in these movies. Now, I know what some of you motherfuckers are saying out there, that this, you gotta suspend disbelief at some points. Or, I say, write better. Just write a movie better. Simple as that. Like, in the Night of the Living Dead franchise, up until that point, they had shown that these zombies were evolving and growing, and they were becoming something more than just the undead. I mean, in the one with the like, they've shown that these zombies can do like repetitive action that they did in their lives, like using the gas pumps, using a gun, as you saw in the sequel to Night of the Living Dead. You don't need them to give birth because it raises so many questions. And I understand that these are rage zombies and they are technically still alive because we saw that they can starve to death. But we also saw that they can like persist in like devastatingly torn up and fucked up ways. So like when you make them give birth like they did in this movie, you're playing with the idea of them being an undead thing, but also playing with the idea of them still being this rage zombie living thing. And it just doesn't play well because zombies, one of the things that makes zombies so terrible, especially slow moving zombies, is that they're always coming, creeping death. They are highly durable, highly dangerous because of that durability. You know, you blow a zombie's legs off, that zombie's still coming. Hell, you blow the zombie apart, and if the brain or the brain stem is not severed, that head will chomp at you. Like, that's why they're terrifying. It is an unrelenting enemy. And you can get that same effect with the fast zombies, but then it becomes an intense, pressurized death. It's no longer creeping death. It is an oppressive death. But you trying to combine those two aspects with this whole like living zombie rage and giving birth baby thing just doesn't work. It just does not work for how either type of zombie work. And so I think if you're trying to get this message in through this movie, this kind of like the life finds a way sort of type thing from Jurassic Park, like there's better ways to do it. And I think Romero actually did that the best with the progression of the skills and the abilities of the zombies. Like, mind you, and let's be real, also, in his movie, he doesn't have a zombie give birth. It's a lady who gives birth. And everybody in the theater watching the movie is like, yeah, that baby's gonna come out infected. Yet, they keep trying it, and it just doesn't work. I mean, hell, The Walking Dead's got a baby, but it's a non-zombie baby from a lady, but the lady dies, and then it's just having to take care of a baby. And no one likes fucking escort quests. In video games, no one likes escort quests, so why write them into your movie? Like, I understand that 28 years later is basically an escort quest, but it's an escort of a rite of passage, blah, 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 or whatever the fuck. Right? But also, once you get it into the point where it's like, now he's trying to get his mother to this place to try to save her, and this childlike idea that he's got in his head makes sense, right? It also gives reason for the desperation of the father and so forth. But back to the babies, but using a baby to try to get that life finds a way and bring that message together just doesn't fucking work. It's a big red flag for me that you've had a bad writing issue for me in a movie, because there's no significance to this fucking baby, and I fucking hate the fact that this baby makes it to this fucking movie. Anyone who knows me when it comes to horror movies and things that I enjoy specifically in that genre the more children are in risk and never get hurt or never die from these things, I fucking hate it. It always takes these movies down for me because it is unrealistic that infants and childs and toddlers and shit would survive in a world like this. I'm sorry. It's like in the fucking Wild Wild West. Like, it's why, like, yeah, there were kids and stuff like that, but man, how many of them kids died out of how many? And it's why they had to have like 14 of them, right? And you're saying that in modern times we've now gone back to that sort of living because fucking rage zombies, and you think these kids really gonna make it? Half of these kids are getting their ass whipped by their cell phones, let alone a fucking zombie. Hell, half these kids don't even want to talk to each other, let alone survive a zombie. So what the fuck? It just does not sit in this movie. And I know this is a long-winded, off-the-rails conversation about this fucking zombie baby in this movie, or not zombie baby in this movie. But it's a glaring issue in this type of horror, in this type of genre, right? It's just glaring. But can we get to the most important critique I have of this movie? Because I think it's a significant one, and I think it's one that more movies should take heed of. More giant floppy zombie cock. What the fuck? Why did it take a zombie with a massive dong schlong to be full frontal in this movie to make people realize that people can just be naked in movies, bro? Like, people were talking about this dick forever with this movie. And I'm like, guys, it's a movie. Dicks can be in movies. I think that's what I'm going to make the name of this episode. 28 years later, now we know dicks can be in movies. Because Jesus Christ, I don't, like... As a fan of horror, there should be nudity and bullshit in it. It's horror. They're mature. If you can rip somebody's arm off and beat them to death with it, then you can show some titties. Or in this case, a big floppy zombie cock. Like, seriously. Like, what? Like, why did it take Danny Boyle and his movies? Because, by the way, Danny's been showing cock since the first one. He showed fucking Oppie's dick in 28 Days Later. But why is it always that, like, people get so shocked and caught up on fucking dick? Like, if I ever make a horror movie, I'm going to put as many naked people in my movie. Short, tall, fat, skinny, little people. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's so crazy that in 2025 a fucking cock grabbed the internet in such a way. Jesus Christ. But yeah, man, like, 28 Years Later for me was a very good movie, but I think the ending of this film leaves a lot to be desired because it's a fucking blatant setup for a sequel. What are you going to call it now? Or better yet, why couldn't 28 Years Later be 28 months and then you do 28 years after that? Like, I don't know. Like, holding on to the 28 thing is great because it's a franchise, blah, 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 but just having a blatant sequel set up and then with the naming convention of the movie just really, really bothers me. And it's Bone Temple, I think, is something of the sequel. I don't know. Sequels and not having one-offs is a whole nother episode. And this is the Horror Fest. So, all in all, guys, I like 28 Years Later. I love the franchise. I enjoyed this movie. I think the depiction of the family and the father and the survival of everyone was excellent, except for those few things I had with the baby and, like, that sort of thing. And the internet's weird fascination with floppy zombie cock. All in all, I would rate this movie probably a solid 8 rage-infested zombie cocks out of 10. So, yeah, go check out the 28 Years franchise, 28 days, 28 years, 28 weeks, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Go check those out. Also, go check out 28 Weeks Later because of the fucking Hawkeye of it all, but also that underrated Jason Bourne movie that he was in. I can't remember what it was called. It was Bourne something, obviously. But yeah, give Hawkeye a shot, man. Don't hate on Hawkeye, okay, guys? On that note, this has been the Talk Nerd to Me podcast, Halloween Horror Fest 2025. 31 days, 31 podcasts. I guess you'll find all our stuff on nimlost.org, I guess. But, I'm out of 5,000. Bye!
Nutty Bites is produced by Nimlas Studios under a Creative Commons Attribution No Commercial Non-Derivatives 3.0 International License. That means you can't change it without my permission. You can share it and send it to your friends. Just link back to me, my site, and everything. We live at nimlas.org, which has links to everything social media, including facebook.com/group/nuttybites and patreon.com/nukejoss, or call 347-NUTTY42.